If you're like me and you value ideas, which can make a massive difference, whether it's to your personal life, whether it's something to your business, or something that can just help shift your perspective on something, and if you're using a second brain tool like Obsidian, then this video is going to make a massive difference in terms of your workflow, how you're combining your second brain, like Obsidian in this case, with a AI tool like Claude. What we're going to be talking about here is how I automated the process of creativity using Claude. And this is probably one of the most powerful automations I've set for myself, which runs on a weekly basis, how it pretty much automates innovation and creativity, sifting through thousands of notes that I've created over the years, and then automatically it brings to me new ideas, new insights, new solutions to things I'm marinating on in the background of my mind, my subconscious, things that are proactively helping me in my life. And every single week when I get a new report, or even if I trigger a manual hook with Claude AI, what it does is sift through relevant notes, finds the most related notes to whatever I'm proactively thinking on, working on, and then from there it proposes different solutions, insights, and different creative ideas which could potentially become solutions for products I'm working on, new business ideas for startups, or even better, just new insights or perspectives that I'm unable to see, whereas AI, it can sift through thousands of different data points in a matter of seconds or even minutes, and from there propose to me new solutions or insights I can proactively work with. This is something that used to take a lot of time for me on my end, because I would go into my Obsidian, maybe take an hour or two per week, 3 hours, and then from there I would have to review my notes. I would have to think about the notes. I would have to kind of think about how it relates to other ideas. Now completely fully automated, and that's really powerful because now I don't have to invest my personal time into it. I could just quickly glance over what Claude already has processed for me, and then from there mark the notes as processed, so they're not just isolated silos inside of my second brain. And from there I automatically have new insights and ideas to work off, whereas before it would take a ton of time every single week or day to even process. I actually stopped doing this because this is something that just took too much of my time and there's no clear ROI to it. Whereas now with AI you can have it fully automated and it just works for you. You create the system once and it just works for you, and it brings you ideas that can actually change your life. So before, where you're logging and creating thousands of new files, now you're going to have a system that works for you proactively on a schedule or even on a manual trigger that automatically goes out there and finds creative ideas, innovative insights, and new perspectives that can actually transform your life. So what I'm going to do now is show you in the computer how this all works and how you can set it up yourself. All right, real quick, for those of you who don't know what's going on here, this is Obsidian. It's a free markdown formatted note-taking second brain tool. So you can pretty much just create files. You can take notes. I think it's better and superior to Notion. So one of the unique things about Obsidian is that what you can do is you can visually look at how all your notes and connections form over time. So this is pretty much an overview glance of my brain, quote unquote. And then from there, you can build interrelated connections across various different notes. And then you can figure out how you can make sense of it. For the longest time, this was all completely manual. I was manually doing all this stuff, whereas now you can fully automate everything here. So just so you understand what's going on here is that we have Obsidian, you have to use it, right? And you actually have to have some sort of knowledge base where to actually work with this thing, right? Because if there are no notes, if there's nothing you can process or set any trigger for an automation, then this solution that I'm proposing here is completely worthless. So don't even go about wasting your time creating this if you have no notes to work with. This is ideally if you have some sort of setup where there's nodes forming, you're starting to process your notes, you're starting to form clusters of various different notes, and it's just taking too much of your time to actually make sense of any of it because there's just so much content and information being stored here. So when you're running into that actual problem, this is where actually a solution like this makes sense, because you can automate it and remove yourself entirely from it and use a tool like Claude to automate and process all these notes for you. Now, the other thing to understand is when you're using this AI tool, there's these things called hooks. So when you use a hook, it's like a trigger where a certain automation fires off. And then from there, what happens is based off a prompt or however you set up your hook or whatever Claude has programmed into the project level directory if you're working in. So this is a directory here. All these files and information that I'm storing inside Obsidian is just basically in a directory style format. Their software just pretty much makes it pretty and easy and user friendly to use. So when you connect and choose to work with inside your directory, it just naturally fits and makes it so easy. So when you create a hook, so I have many kinds of hooks. I think I talked in one of my previous videos that there are all these other hooks you can do. So like daily day hooks, you can do hooks that prompt you specific questions based on things that are happening in your life. So I created a specific hook where I'm calling it Spark Up in this case. So you're sparking up different insights, innovation, and ideas. And what happens is when it goes out there is it injects certain context, which we're going to go over in just a bit, certain context about your life, goals, notes you're processing, and then from there it compiles everything and then spits out like your own personalized newsletter, or even like a research report of like all the synthesis and ideas actually happening in your life that can actually be really, really useful. So whether they're solutions, whether they are ideas, whether they are opportunities, maybe things to consider or look, or like ideas or reflections to reflect on yourself, so you can actually make this your own. This is just one of the most powerful ways how I found it really useful for my life. So at the end of the day, you just want to customize this and make it your own. So we fire off the hook spark up, and then it will go out there and work. So I'm not going to actually process this and show you like a real live one. I'll show you like a demo sample example of what it could potentially look like for you, because this thing is going through all my personal life, things I'm working through, things I'm journaling about, notes I'm taking. So there is a lot of personal and private and sensitive stuff I don't want to reveal publicly. But at the same time, I'll show you of like, if you were to fire this thing off, like what it can actually do for you, because it's extremely powerful. So let me show you here how this all actually works, and then what kind of system from just a basic standpoint you need to have in order to even run this thing and fire it off. So one of the very first things you need is you need a file which basically stores every single note that is marked as unprocessed. So I kind of templatize this place. So I kind of templatize this. So anytime I create a new note or some sort of topic or subject and it's not been processed yet, it goes into this one file called Arena, where it can sort and show me all the files that are unprocessed so I can look through them in my own time. When you look closer, the code kind of looks like this, where it formats the notes in a specific way. So by date, also whether they have the tag called unprocessed. And then when you go into, say, any template, I also have a tag where it says unprocessed. And then any notes that do become processed after Claude or I manually process and review them, it turns into processed. So rather than it saying unprocessed here, it'll say processed. So that's the first thing you need to have. The other thing you need to have is you have to, I mean, you could literally just prompt the Claude or the AI, whatever you're using, and to tell it to download a local model called Ollama. So it's a free embedding model. I mean, some Obsidian plugins, they do this for you, but they charge for it. But this is like a free one. I think it's roughly somewhere around 500 megabytes. You let it run. And what it does is, just in simple layman terms, is it embeds and assigns values and numbers to your files. So rather than your AI having to sift through thousands and thousands of various different files, searching for things by words and keywords, it has like these numbers and various different values that the embedding model has assigned to the file, so it can quickly search something up and find related notes off that. So it's like basically a computerized way and more efficient way for an AI to search and find related notes based on the values and assignments it has gave the file, versus say like me going out there and looking at an index of a book and trying to find, oh, this makes sense with that, this makes sense with that. And it would just take an extremely long time how to find something that's related, and just it would be very inefficient. But when you use an embedding model where you let it run and process, it will just do it extremely efficiently and fast. So this is one thing you have to do, and you have to get it to run. And then when you prompt the AI to run and fire this off, what happens is every single week, so initially you have to have like one massive one that runs through all your files and then embeds everything. Should take maybe 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes or faster if you have a fast and strong machine. Otherwise it could take a little longer. But the way this whole entire process works is every single Sunday it takes 12 unprocessed notes inside of that Arena file I showed you, and then from there it finds 6 related notes. You can go deeper, you can make this to find 10 related, you could make it find 12, you can make it find 20. Doesn't matter. For me right now, I'm just testing it with 6. From there, the next step is it injects, kind of like OpenClaw does, it injects life context about you. So I have this general purpose life context file. So I'm gonna blur some of this stuff out because obviously it's private, but this is just some general information about me, kind of like you find in OpenClaw, but you want to inject a context file into the AI. So on every run it runs. From there, you want to inject a goals file. So I do have a goals file where it's like my yearly goals, my quarterly, my monthly, my weekly things I'm processing. So it injects a combination of things: weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, and then also like my life vision. And then at the same time, the past weeks or 7 days journals. So I showed you, so I have a journal template where I write in it all the time, every single day, things I'm learning about, things I'm processing, working on. So what you want it to do is also process the most recent 7-day journals of your life, because then it's processing and working with things that are actually things you were working on, thinking about, maybe you're dealing with or struggling with. So it has all this context. The more context your AI has when it's firing and running this hook, it's going to give you a more relevant answer that's actually very useful. So it injects the journals, also any active projects. So I have a unique structure I talked about in my previous video in my Obsidian, but any sort of projects that you're working on. So it could be maybe like coaching you're getting, maybe some sort of startup idea you're working on, business or whatever. You want to have like just a general sense of organization. Like I'm very against like really strong hierarchical organization inside your Obsidian, but you just want some sort of just general direction where you can go or start off in. So you're just literally not looking at just a bunch of notes and you don't know where to start. So you want to have this sort of project layer where you can just kind of inject all the projects and things you're actually proactively working on right now. So what happens is it picks 12 random notes from your unprocessed note file that I show you, which I'm calling here Arena. It could be random, it could be most recent, it could be the oldest. It really depends on whatever you want. For me, it's random. It finds 6 related notes across my vault that has embedded some sort of values to it. And then from there, it injects a bunch of information about my current life context. So 7-day recent history of journals, goals, active projects I'm working on, the current context memory file about my life. And then from there, what it does is it processes a insight file. Now, for example, I created this demo file. This demo file is completely mock data, so it's not real data, but it spits out something like this. So it processes all of the different notes it picked out. And here's just 5, for example, right? But it shows all the various different notes it processed on the run. It organizes it into the various different notes and the insights from them. So like things I'm processing on, what do they mean to me, and stuff like that. And then from there, whenever it will find like a unique, insightful idea, it will have like a spark note. A spark note of like, hey, did you think of this? There's a potential opportunity here. Or maybe you can prompt the AI in the hook to be like, look out for opportunities like this, or maybe reflection questions or prompts or something that I'm not seeing that may actually be useful to you. It really depends on how you customize the hook. But I look for like these spark notes where the spark notes can actually spark innovation ideas, creative ideas, business opportunities, or unique features I can implement to a product I'm working on, or maybe a more efficient way how to do something. So whatever you set the criteria for your sparks, that's what it spits out here, and then it gives me like a quick way how I can cross-pollinate my ideas and then provide some sort of innovation into my life or creativity that I pretty much just automated, right? Like I don't have to do all the heavy lifting of like synthesizing ideas and cross-pollinating ideas, and because really at the end of the day, that's how innovation and insight is born, when you can connect 2 seemingly unrelated ideas and then from there spark some sort of innovation and insight, which can potentially turn out to be maybe $1 million idea or some sort of like unique opportunity you find and create for yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of the most interesting ideas in the world have really just been sparks of innovation and insight where other people didn't even see it, because some people just have more hands-on experience in different areas of their life because they just have a more diverse range of experience, whereas say other people are very specialized and linear or just vertically integrated in say one field, so it's hard for them to see some sort of insight or innovation, whereas others might not see it. So pretty much I just put this whole entire thing on autopilot where you can now do this all yourself, and then every single week, depending on what you specify the spark or the hook to look out and automate for you, you can now have this all completely done on autopilot. So every single Sunday at 10 a.m. this thing runs on my computer. My computer does have to be on, so unless you are putting a cron job in the cloud and then your database or your second brain here is connected to the cloud, your computer does have to be running. Otherwise, I can manually trigger it whenever I want. But otherwise, it is running every single day, or I'm sorry, it's running every single Sunday at 10 a.m., automating my synthesis and just processing note process in my notes that I haven't touched in years, but I always found it highly valuable because of like the ideas and the creativity that comes with it. I think there's no better feeling out there in the world when you can just find a unique idea or insight and then share it with the world or even create something with it. Previously, this work was kind of, I don't want to say useless, but there's no clear ROI in it. Like it's not a revenue generating activity. But if you actually execute on the idea and you put something out into the world, maybe it can become a revenue generating activity. So rather than me investing my time into that, I thought of why don't I just automate this with AI, just give it all the context information I'm currently processing in my life. And then from there, it just spits out this highly valuable information file. So basically the notes it processed, you can even go deeper and like get it to reference the notes it actually created the idea from. So in this demo example that I got Gemini to create for me, it didn't insert the related notes of like how it referenced or came up with the idea. But nonetheless here, like these could just be a bunch of projects, ideas, or insights that you could use that could be highly valuable to you. So this is how I automated my creativity with Claude. Hope you found it useful. If you want to learn more about how you're doing this yourself, check out my most recent video. I actually talked about how I set up my Obsidian. If you want to work with me about anything AI related, getting it set up for your business, you can book a call down below in the video. Otherwise, feel free to reach out if there's something I'm not offering that you're interested in. So my contact information should be on my YouTube page. Other than that, see you in another one. See ya.